Okay, I'd like to start the capital construction meeting for the month of March. Rana, we have one public speaker.
Yes, we do, sir. Mr. Kupferberg, representing the Committee for Better Transit.
Indisposed? It's indisposed, the public speaker. Can't make this up.
Here he comes.
Mr. Kupferberg?
Well, reference to the 2nd Avenue subway, and first the Long Island Railroad East Side access. About a half a year ago, it broke through the Metro-North Railroad right-of-way. Now they have to both below the upper level and the lower level to a deep cavern. But wait, should the Long Island Railroad use the existing infrastructure, i.e. Grand Central Terminal's upper level and its loop? Imagine how less expensive it could be. The Region Rail Working Group has proved scientifically and practically that it is doable. If there's a super elevation problem, fix it. If there are institutional issues, fix them too. The MTA owns the Long Island Railroad and Metro-North, not vice versa. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a lesson in MTA math. The 4-track 6th Avenue subway with the maze of utilities and other rapid transit right-of-ways to cross costs $225 million current dollars to build. The 2-track 2nd Avenue subway is planned to cost $1.5 billion per mile to build. That's correct. The MTA claims that a 2-track line costs 6 times more than a 4-track line. Who has their hands in the till, huh? If it has to be this way, let former Governor George Pataki, former MTA Chairman Eve Virgil Conway, and Peter Calico, and the rest of their ilk pay for the 2nd Avenue subway. Not the people of the city, not this state, and not this country. They must fully compensate the MTA, the state, and the federal government for their actions. It's time to show some backbone. If you don't want to do these, step aside for those who will. If you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. Plain and simple. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the February meeting, please. Can I get a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Work plan, there are no changes, no action needed. Michael.
Okay, let us start. Let me start with the South Ferry. As you all know, the new South Ferry Terminal Station was open for customer service March 16 on Monday, and it was spectacular to see. At the end of this short presentation, we'll have some photos from the opening, so you guys can at least see that, whoever was not there. We have the date for substantial completion is now September per the recovery plan recently submitted to the FTA, and that includes actually testing of the air conditioning system that cannot be done but later in the summer. And bids for Peter Minuit Plaza work were open on February 6th, and the contract qualifications process is still underway, and that's where we are with that. What I would like to do now is just show you some photos of the new station just before opening, and also customer enjoying the new station after opening. Bogdan. These are the new stairways getting into it. Quite spectacular to see that. You can see the art on the background, and it's really anyone that has not seen it, I really would welcome you coming, and sure will give you a tour if you do not want to see it on your own. This is the historic battery wall that was actually installed within the station that one can see. The station is quite spectacular. The platforms are wide, at least wider by 1 inch for sure. This is actually the station right now in operation. This is the first individual that used the ADA elevator in the station. And then the commuter comments.
The early reviews are in, and the feeling is unanimous. The new South Ferry Terminal is a smash.
Absolutely gorgeous.
It is beautiful. Yeah. Love it. It's really, really spectacular. It's really clean. It's brand new. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the construction.
New York's first brand new subway station in 20 years opened to much fanfare.
Yeah, it's an upgrade over the old one.
Upgrade. Yeah, it's nice and clean. It feels. Now I can see all the hard work they were doing that people were waiting for.
In Manhattan, Bobby Kuza, New York 1.
That's all.
You shut it off, okay? Bobby, that seemed to be your show, right? We we downloaded from your site.
How much did it cost to add the extra inch?
Actually, the extra inch was $100,000. That was the rubbing board that we had to change, and then the labor was in-house. So, as I said to someone, that's if you divide that by $530 million, it's a real low percentage. All projects should only have overruns of 100. The Fulton Transit Center. As we are awaiting word on the use of the stimulus funds to finalize the design of the transit center building and complete the project, we are continuing to march ahead with the underground work. Skanska, that is our contractor for the foundation, is mobilized on site and has begun support of excavation work. We have a new grouting plant that has been set up to stabilize the soil in the area. And negotiations are right now about to be completed in a couple of weeks for the underpinning of the Corbin building that is going to be added to the Skanska contract. The AC mezzanine contract was advertised in March, and bids are due in June, and we expect construction to start on the third quarter of this year. Procurement documents are also being prepared for the rehab of the 405 Fulton Street Station and construction of the Day Street Head House, as well as the Corbin building rehab. Restoration work has begun on the northbound platform of the RW Cortlandt Street Station, and we expect to reopen the northbound entrance and platform before the end of the year. Repair work on the southbound platform is more extensive than the northbound, as it integrated with the Port Authority adjacent work at the World Trade Center site. And we are currently in discussion with the port about the progression of the southbound platform work, and that's something that is currently part of the negotiations with them. The 7 West, the project team continues to work closely with the city and the Hudson Yards development to conclude developer agreements that have yet to be wrapped up. As you all know, the first TBM is being assembled at the site and was lowered, all of the pieces. In fact, of the second TBM were also lowered earlier this week. Yeah. I'm sorry. Just behind me. So this is when the cutter head was lowered in. It's a huge piece of equipment. It's 110 tons, and it's really, you'll see it's kind of here doesn't look as big as it actually is. And this is being lowered as you look down into the shaft, and this is the other piece of it. And as of now, that's what you see. The head is behind it, and it's ready to be launched. It's really spectacular. Work continues at 34th Street and 11 to construct the station cavern as well as the shaft for a future fan plant. Excavation and underpinning of the lower level of the 8th Avenue subway and existing tail tracks at Times Square continues to proceed. And test blasting is underway and excavation continues in the lower level of the Port Authority bus terminal. Drill and blast operations continue to proceed at a good pace. Over the last 6 months, actual excavation production has been about 140% above plan. We have been able to remove about 128,000 cubic yards of rock versus a plan of 53,000. So that's moving well. The procurement agenda includes a modification to the design services contract. And you have seen some of the pictures that we have to share. Yes.
Where are we in the negotiations with the city over any cost overruns?
At this point, we have, we do not at this point expect to go above. We have a contingency. We are using the contingency dollars. And we have already awarded 60% of the construction contract. So at this point, I don't have any numbers that I can share with you that show that we are above the budget. We are closely monitoring the design fees because that's where we have had some issues, particularly the fact that we had to redesign things because we are constantly negotiating with owners, and we are trying, in fact, to fit our own pieces of the infrastructure together with theirs. So that's a negotiating process that is still in not being concluded.
So as of this time, we're just not going to rely on the contingency?
At this point, we're only relying on the contingency. Yes.
How much? What percentage is the contingency?
I know the dollars. I think about 194.
194.
The total contingency 194. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Second Avenue subway. Negotiations have been concluded for the 96th station and the contract, and we are seeking an approval basically this month to award the contract to the joint venture of Cruz Talley for $325 million. The procurement agenda also includes a proposed modification to the design contract to cover the design of the two-track 72nd Street station and changes to support contract repackaging. What we have done as part of the value engineering is we took the tunnel down from 3 tracks to 2, and we saved about $90 million in the process. So that was part of the work that we needed to do. Work continues on the TBM launch box. All traffic decking over the west side and hanging of the utilities is complete, and we have shifted traffic to the west side. Installation of the 30-inch water main replacement will be completed in April. And one of the modifications in the procurement agenda relates to the water main work. We are currently reviewing comments received last week from the FTA regarding the supplemental environmental assessment for the 72nd and 86th Street station design changes, and are keeping elected officials and the community board well informed in advance of the public review period. On that note, we are meeting with the community board tonight to provide a status update of the project. East Side Access. The Robbins TBM completed mining its second drive, and excavation necessary to relaunch the Selly TBM on its second drive continues. Both machines are expected to begin their next drive early in the second quarter. The Northern Boulevard crossing contract at 44th Street Vent Plant and 245 Park Avenue and Harold Structures are in procurement. Award for all 3 contracts is planned for the second quarter. Negotiations are continuing right now for the Queensboro tunnels and structure, and we received revised proposals. Actually, this is the East Side Access, the TBM tunneling progress along the alignment, and one can see it. I would like to mention the fact that the Queens tunnels are soft ground tunnels, and there are lots of implications in that, and one of the things that had happened about 2 weeks ago, there was a collapse in Germany, in Cologne, and appears to be as a result right now. Anyone doing southbound tunneling are undergoing review, including the Copenhagen Metro that stopped for the moment construction to take a second look to see how things are done to make sure that nothing bad happens there. So given the sensitivity of the locations, clearly we're going to move carefully to understand exactly the risks and make sure that we are securing everything, because clearly the Northeast Corridor traffic on Amtrak and Long Island Railroad is very much dependent on that area. So no mishaps could occur there.
Is there any reason why your tunnel graph, the progress and graph looks substantially similar to the Dow Jones Industrial?
Just by chance.
The decline isn't steep enough here.
Yeah, well, it declines actually into Second Avenue. That's not. And again, some of you that have seen this firsthand, now that I am able to descend 16 flights, I will invite some of you or all of you that want to attend to take a tour to actually walk the tunnel. So we'll try to do that, schedule something like this in the next month or two. So you can see exactly where we are. Bogdan, that's it. Thank you.
Well, the tour I recommend to you all, I've done it. It's a long walk, but it's worth doing. I'd like you to go back for a minute and you just kind of slip by that we were not only going to do 2 rails at 96th Street and 2nd Avenue as opposed to 3.
72nd, yes.
For those of us who need to understand, explain the implications of that from an operating point of view. I mean, it must have been there for some reason in the beginning, and we're taking it out. That must have some kind of consequence. I think we ought to understand the consequence.
The issue is actually whenever you have any problems, you will have a third track to bypass the rest. What we have done in this case, we are creating bypasses at both ends. So we have crossing. So if, in fact, we have an issue in terms of operation, one can cross to the other side. Clearly, is not as good as having a third rail, but at the same time, it was not necessarily worth $90 million. So
why was there a mistake? Was there a mistake to begin with? How do we miss that in early design?
no, we didn't miss it. We chose not to. It's a matter of affordability. So when you look to see what
so it was driven by
purely costs. We are, under ideal situations, clearly what you may want to do is to have 4 tracks, like we have in many places. That's not the case. So we had a third track there for the ability to bypass and provide added capacity in the event that you have any problems. So we are addressing that by actually having crossovers before and after.
I mean, I think the point is that we're trying to make every economy that we can to bring these projects in on time and on budget, but those economies have consequences that aren't necessarily always good. I think it's important that the committee realize that we are trying to make them come in on time, on budget,
right.
But these decisions will have ramifications for years and years to come.
But it is not as
No,
we're getting a Chevy, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's important that people understand that.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have not said that. I think with that, I'm going to get it to Ronnie to go over procurement.
Thank you. We have 5 procurement items in the agenda this month. The first, as Michael highlighted, is a recommendation to award the 96th Street Station cavern contract on the 2nd Avenue subway to the joint venture of Cruz Tully in the amount of $325 million. The other 4 are modifications. The next is a proposed modification to the South Ferry Judlow contract in the amount not to exceed $380,000. And then a modification on 2nd Avenue, which Michael highlighted also, in the amount of $665,000 associated with DEP work. a modification on the number 7 design contract with PB in the amount not to exceed $9,869,710, also, as noted by Michael, associated with site work with various developers. And finally, a modification on the 2nd Avenue subway design contract with Dimjim Harris Arup in the amount of $26.5 million, associated mostly with the 3-track to 2-track station change. Those are the items in the procurement agenda this month.
Can I get a motion and a second, and then discussion, please? Motion, second? Okay, discussion. Any questions?
Ronnie, just a couple of questions. The Judlow contract. I noticed down here that there was an error and omission analysis that's supposed to be done.
That's really more associated with lessons learned for us, because that was an in-house design associated with whether or not our standard design includes the right mechanical code requirements, because as you noted, it had to do with a change in the mechanical code issues.
And when is that analysis going to be completed?
I'll check. It may already be done.
And secondly, there was another error and omission, this time by our design consultant on the 2nd Avenue subway tunnel contract on page 32.
I don't think that's necessarily an error. This is a situation with DEP where it changed its requirements.
So whose nickel is that, ultimately? Is that our nickel?
It's our nickel.
That's great.
It's one of the difficult situations we have in consulting with utility agencies, and we do so quite a bit, as reflected in the various discussions that we've had here. But at the end of the day, it's their infrastructure. And in this situation, the potential risk in terms of closing a water main is substantial, and so they call it as they see it in terms of needs.
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Rocco, you're on.
Good morning, Commissioner. This morning we have 10 action items for your consideration. They are generally straightforward. I want to highlight perhaps 2 of them. On page 7, we have an agreement with Bank of America for 31 ATMs along on a railroad. As you note, this is a rather significant revenue generator. Unfortunately, as you also note, we had originally a proposal from another bank venture, and during those negotiations, initial early negotiations, the bank folded. And luckily, we did have a fallback, Bank of America, and you'll note that it is a rather significant revenue stream to Long Island Railroad. This is our 3rd offering of this agreement since this activity commenced on Long Island Railroad. Another item of interest in terms of the presentation on page 12, you may recall we acquired a building in North White Plains for Metro North. When we acquired that building, there were a number of occupants, and most of them we have been able to successfully negotiate a vacate. We are down to 3, and of those 3, 2 are very reasonable, and we will be able to bring closure to that. If you recall, we advised you after the fact what the settlement entailed. One of the 3 is being significantly unreasonable, in fact, very unreasonable in what they are looking to secure as a payment. They see the MTA and they see a dollar figure. If we are unable to reach a satisfactory conclusion to that negotiation, we intend to commence condemnation. We haven't started that. We just are now asking approval to commence the process, but we have been negotiating with them over the last 3 months. And again, as I said, they are being extremely unreasonable in what they are demanding from the MTA in return for what they are entitled to.
Rocco, just a quick question. Are there any divisions of Metro North from this building that are going to be relocating up there?
A significant occupancy will be part of the 420 Lexington, where they are occupying a leased whole place at a significant rental. And obviously at 525, it will only be the occupancy cost, the use operating cost. So they are vacating a a partial floor at 420 Lex. There are other uses that we are moving to that location. I think Elmsford TV vending machine operation and some other uses. A number of uses are being consolidated at that location.
And we're giving up that space at 420 Lexington?
Yes,
in
we're
part?
surrendering it. Yes, yes. And those are the items of interest. The rest of them are relatively straightforward, Commissioner. So if you have questions, we can respond to them. Otherwise, I'd like to ask for a motion.
Can we get a motion?
I move that the items be adopted.
Second? Any other questions?
If there are any questions on the information items, we'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, that's our agenda, Commissioner.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any questions on the information items? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss a real estate matter. Second? Carried.